welcome to Setting the Stage. I'm Brooke Savage. UCP of Central Florida is a local nonprofit that helps kids with disabilities and connects them to resources and therapies and services. Tomorrow, it's holding its annual charity gala, and you'll know some familiar guests as the hosts, including RJ Mitte from Breaking Bad and several other shows and films. RJ, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So the first question I usually start off with is, how did you get into acting?
I kind of stumbled into acting. My sister got cast out of a water park in Texas, and that's what brought me and my family to California. And, at the time, this was early 2000s, if you didn't go to school, you didn't act, and you didn't join a gang, what are you doing in California? And so I did it to meet kids my own age, and I was working on shows as an extra, which I highly recommend to people. If they want to get into the acting industry, extra work is a great way to figure out even if you like it. It's a hard business, but if you find a love for it, you can really discover if you want to continue it through extra work. And I was working on Hannah Montana and Everybody Hates Chris and about 14 other shows and movies as an extra and auditioning. And then I got the opportunity to work on a little show called Breaking Bad that kind of changed the trajectory of my career.
Yes, and how did you land that role?
Auditioning. I auditioned 5 times over 6 months, and I just kept pursuing it. And the audition process is a bit daunting, and it's you don't know. You don't know if you're getting it. And, I would audition one day and wait a couple of months and maybe hear a call, maybe not. But apparently they called me again, and I just kept pushing forward through it.
So did you read the premise of the show and you're like, I want to audition for that?
Well, I mean, the way that my character, Walt Jr., was written, it pretty much described me. It said big eyebrows, dark hair, mild cerebral palsy, and I'm like, I got all of those things. And so it kind of read for me. But I wasn't the only one auditioning. There was hundreds of people auditioning for one role. That's the hardest part about our business is it's you work on these parts and you prepare yourself for the audition, and then you just put it out there and you hope for the best. And there's not just you doing that, but a lot of people, and you really just have to continue to keep auditioning and keep putting yourself out there to find those roles that fit you. And I just got very lucky in my career that I got the role that fit me.
Exactly. I have heard when it comes to acting, you have to expect a lot of rejection.
A lot of rejection. That's the hardest part I find in this industry is learning to love rejection. learning to be okay with them saying, like, you don't fit the part, you're too this, you're too that. That's part of our industry is they're really trying to narrow down to a focal point of like what they are looking for. And I find that you as an individual cannot hurt yourself or feel hurt when you don't fit that vision because it's not you. It's not up to you. It's up to the producers and the people and the writers. And no, it's okay to hear no. And learning, and the more time you work in your industry, hearing no more and more gets sometimes it gets harder, but sometimes you learn how to deal with the rejection. And I think that's with any business. In life, we have jobs and places that don't always are going to accept or reject or whatever that you're trying to achieve is. It's about staying consistent and persevering and continuing to put yourself out there in a way that people see you and go, oh, yeah, that's right, we can hire her. She did this, she does these interviews, cool, let's do it this way. But being seen over and over and consistently bringing in quality work. That I find, yeah.
Wasn't your character based off a real person too?
It was. Walt Jr. was based on a real person. A friend of Vince's, Vince had in college, who sadly sometime after university passed away, and so Walt Jr. is based on their relationship and kind of who that individual was.
I'm noticing that a lot about TV shows. A lot of characters are named after real people or based off of real people and tell real stories.
People write what they know.
Exactly. And what was your day-to-day life like on set?
Ooh, it was long, but you know, on average it was a 6 a.m. call, and people, you know, we can only work for so many hours a day legally, and so, you know, we would do the max days, and sometimes there were 6 days a week, 16-hour days, over and over and over. I mean, you work in media, so it's like, when are you not working?
That's so true, and I've heard that about, you know, I don't think a lot of people realize just how much hard work goes into acting. I have heard a lot about those long hour days and sometimes like one day off, but you were a kid, so wasn't there other legal things? Or
yeah, so I had a teacher. I had an amazing teacher. I had a couple of amazing teachers, but at the end of my education, I had a great teacher that went with me all the way to college level, and you know, so I would go in and then I would take breaks, and then because I had to do schooling every day, so it's a mandatory education law to protect children, to make sure people are getting educated, and so every day I would. Depending on the call time, let's say if I had like a 7 or 8 a.m. call, I'd get there and 6:37 and check in and get ready and go straight to my classroom and start doing my studies for that day. And you know, it's like 3 hours a day, and sometimes or more depending on how much my workload would be for the filming day. And so I would do my education, and then I would go to the set and I would shoot my scene, and then sometimes I would take a break, and then I'd come back later, and so I could work a little longer.
Was it just you alone in the classroom?
Yeah, it was Breaking Bad was not did not have a lot of children, and when they did, I wasn't really involved in the same shots. Most of my stuff was either isolated to the home, or 1 or 2 parking lot scenes, or the convenience stores, you know. But a lot of children weren't really in Breaking Bad.
That's true. Do you still keep up with anyone from the cast?
I do. I you know, we all keep up with each other occasionally. We talk, you know, everyone has lives and wives and husbands and families, and so like everyone's kind of in their own existence. Like with me being a child, everyone was over 27, 28. I was 13, 14 years old. And so, you know, I was the baby on the set. But we recently just all went to the SAG Awards and presented Best Ensemble to Succession, and so it was an amazing group of reunion, I guess, for lack of a better term, to see everyone and to spend time with them. It was very special.
I did see that. So is there like a Breaking Bad group text or anything like that?
There is now, but no one texted. I think I texted once saying like, "Hey, my car is late. I'll be there soon."
That's funny. And how did you get into your character's headspace? Because as you know, the show got really dark. So was it mentally draining or what?
I enjoyed it. I had a great time with it. My character really wasn't involved in the industry like Heisenberg was. So my most of my headspace was really wrapping around breakfast and my mom Skylar, and that was kind of about it. Like, so Junior was just chilling the whole time.
Well, not in the last season though.
Well, not in the last season. But I enjoy high drama. I enjoy that type of work. You know, it gives you an opportunity to really flex your emotional muscles in scenes and push each other to grow to those next levels. And I think for me with acting, it's so important to be able to learn from each other and to have these insights on your characters that don't have words, that are an emotional based drive, and I think at the end of Breaking Bad, I was able to have some of that.
Yes, exactly. Like, it was heartbreaking watching
Good.
Walter White Jr. in the last season. You were very good at that.
We had fun.
Yeah.
We had a great time.
And so when people see you in public, I've heard about this, do people quote certain parts of the show to you?
They do. I think everyone on the show gets quoted differently. A big thing is breakfast and having a one day. That's people like that a lot.
That is funny. I did notice people like talk to you about the breakfast thing. I honestly never put two and two together like that.
I love it. I think it's great. It's breakfast. It's the most important meal of the day. So.
Mm-hmm. And you're also in a movie that just came out in the past few years, Triumph. What did it mean to you to play the main character in that movie with a focus on challenges in cerebral palsy?
I'm very excited about Triumph. We were able to partner with UCP. We actually have our event later this evening and tomorrow. Triumph, it's such a common story for people with disabilities. The gentleman that wrote the story named Michael Coffey, it was kind of an homage to his life if he got the opportunities that he did not get in society. And so being able to play this character, I think, is so important to bring awareness to keep pushing forward, no matter what your limitations or the perception of your limitations are. And, we have a great team, Grace Victoria Cox, Colton Haynes, Jonathan Sedge, Terrence Howard. And, it's a story of a young man who just wants to have a life, who wants to be able to meet the girl or wants to be able to play on the team. And, it's based in the 80s. And so the world was very different. As the world was different in 2006 to today, the world was definitely different in the 80s for people with disabilities. And so this movie shows his obstacles. And it's based on true events. But I find the movie's really based on if he did get that opportunity, if he said yes instead of no, if he fought against what the limitations of his community thought he was capable of. And, a lot of people don't get those opportunities to fight against it. And they accept that this is my limitation and I will be nothing more than this. And to me, that's a lie. That's not the reality of this world. And you can decide that for yourself. And through whatever it may be, physical exercise, speech, whatever that you're trying to overcome or grow past, through training, through regiment, through perseverance, you can achieve those goals.
Exactly. I really appreciated the part in the movie where the message was about never giving up, and I love seeing your character's passion for wrestling. Even when he lost, he still wanted to do that, and I feel like anyone can relate to that message when you're passionate about anything.
One other thing, I don't want to spoil the movie if someone's watching now, but I find in most movies like this, they win, right? Everything. And in this movie, he doesn't necessarily win, but he wins something that's greater than actually winning. You don't always learn by winning. You learn by losing. You learn by getting hit hard, but getting back up twice as hard. And I think that's something that in this movie we really tried to echo is like it's not always about winning or losing, but it's about putting yourself out there and putting yourself into that light and giving yourself that opportunity to win, even if you don't. But just getting to that gate for so many people, they don't have that opportunity.
That's so true. What does it mean to you to see more characters with disabilities being represented in TV shows and movies?
I love it. I think it's so important to have representation. I do think it's important to tell the stories that aren't just about representation. But I think as media has grown and as we see more inclusion and more opportunities, for me that just means more people are getting jobs. And I really like to see people working. And there's a lot of talented actors and actresses that have disabilities or not, but they don't get the roles. They don't get the opportunity to be seen or to be heard. And I'm really excited to see doors opening for people, not just to get a role, but just to get the opportunity to audition.
What would you like to see in the future when it comes to that?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I think that's a loaded question right there. But I mean, I think higher quality jobs, better opportunities, and you know, understanding. I think a lot of people don't fully understand the importance of providing opportunities for people with disabilities in the job workforce. And so I really hopefully see more um, quality jobs for individuals with disabilities and whatever that individual is facing, just being able to get into the door.
I completely understand that. I actually recently talked to an actor who's hard of hearing, and he talked about having more like hard of hearing or deaf performers on stage,
Yeah.
or like more accessible shows, or he himself wants to start his own company where he could like have people, like he could provide
Yeah.
a space for those type of people.
I agree. I mean, there's what's amazing is I'm not the only one working towards this goal, and you know, one person can make a difference, but if you have hundreds of people all trying to achieve the same goal, it makes it a lot easier. And I'm very lucky that I'm part of a community that there's not just hundreds of us, but thousands of us that are all trying to achieve the same goal, and that's better quality work. That's the opportunity to even get the job, and that's providing understanding and new ways to see people with disabilities that most people don't get the opportunity to see. You know, I find a lot of people with disabilities don't get out much, and so being able to bring people out and being seen in the public, 90% of what I see the industry of is exposure. And if you've never been exposed to someone with a disability or never talked to someone with a disability, your likelihood of understanding individuals with disabilities isn't very high.
That's so true. So you're not from Central Florida,
No.
so I was wondering, what is your connection to UCP of Central Florida?
I've been a big supporter of UCP for many years now, and over the past 10 years been able coming to this event with Cheryl Hines and Rachel Harris and many other amazing doctors and nurses and actors and actresses that really believe in what UCP does. And you know, education and opportunities are so important, and hearing the stories and seeing the impacts that happen year after year with the next generation of children, it's so special. And so I'm a big supporter of this group when it comes down to that, because I see their impact. I see the lives that they have changed and the opportunities that they created. So anytime I can support them, I'm here to support. And you know, they're based here in Central Florida, but they're all over the country. And I do my best to encourage people that if they're looking for help and then they're looking for opportunities for education and insight into not just disability, but all kinds of different fields, UCP is a great way to learn.
How did you hear about them?
You know, I work with tons of organizations all over the world, and so many years ago I heard about what they were doing, and they invited me to this fundraiser here. And the one time that I went, I was like, this is amazing, and anytime I can ever support y'all and help raise funds for what y'all do. And you know, because it goes beyond education, it goes to a lifestyle, it goes to changing families' lives, because you know, if you impact the children, you impact the whole family. And when you give these kids these opportunities to get education and treatment and therapies, you know, there's such a pool of knowledge there from all the nurses and doctors and educators. And Dr. Eileen Wilkins is so insightful what she's done with the organization, and you know, the families and the legacies that have been part of UCP, that have their children at UCP. You know, I see the impact, and I'm a big believer. If anyone wants to get into philanthropy, this is what I tell them to look for: direct impact programming. Find organizations that directly impact your community. Because if you want to make that difference, you know, you can go online, you can do all these things, but if you're not seeing that individual, seeing that kid change, you know, that's where you change your mindset and be like, okay, how can I help more children? How can I help more young adults? How can we change the narrative on what opportunities for these individuals are? Because for most people, your average individual is like, look at someone with a disability and they go, that's a liability. But in reality, disability is a strength. It's a knowledge. It's an opportunity to grow these individuals, to not just grow themselves, but to grow their community.
I love that. So when you come here to Central Florida, I was just curious, do you ever visit any local businesses or anything?
I do.
Get to check it out?
I have. I really don't have a lot of time. So I'm doing stuff like this, talking with organizations, and a lot of times flying in and flying out. I'm very happy I have today.
So you mentioned, okay, I don't think a lot of people realize this. Besides acting, you are very busy. Like, you have your hands in a ton of organizations, and you have an anti-bullying campaign.
Yeah.
Tell us what else you're involved in.
So no, I mean, my big thing right now is get ready for this fundraiser for UCP to go raise a bunch of money. Triumph has been, I've been working on that for about 7 years now. And then I have a couple other movies that are in the works right now. I just had another movie supposed to come out this summer. I have 2 more in the works, but I am the president of my family foundation as well. So that keeps me very busy with a lot of paperwork. After COVID, like, everything kind of slowed down, so I really started focusing on my family's organization and what we're doing. And so no, I'm not based here in Florida. I'm based in South Texas, but I enjoy Florida a lot. I'm just right on the other side of the Gulf.
Exactly.
Like, I could see Florida from my house. Been really focusing on that with community activism, you know, my grandfather helped build a children's museum, and in doing that helped create a cultural district. And so I've been working with a cultural district in South Texas for about 14 years now, and helping create opportunities and more programs and different you know, parks and parking and things that communities need to help create safer environments for people to be able to get out of their houses and be able to have opportunities outside, not just staying at home and play video games, but be able to walk and hike and bike and do these things. And I just recently was working in Albania with the U.S. consulate there. I do a lot of disability rights advocacy, and I have found over the past few years, working with smaller countries like Albania and Lithuania and these 3 million population countries that have a large disability community that doesn't get the opportunity, is a great way to make a change for people with disabilities. And you know, that's just Tuesday.
Wow. So is there anything else you want people to know about you that they might not know? Well,
tickets are for sale at UCP if they want to come to the event this weekend. If they're looking for any of my works, RJ Mitte, across, like, just, if you type RJ Mitte, you'll see a blue check mark, and that's the same for my Instagram, my Facebook, and Twitter, X, whatever it is now. I keep all that. I do my best to update it as much as possible, but really excited for Triumph. If you know, it's been a labor of love. I've worked on it for over 7 years now, and we've had ups and downs with it, but I find the best works are usually the hardest, and when people are making it more difficult or wanting it, that means it must be good.
I love it. Well, like RJ just mentioned, the UCP of Central Florida's annual charity gala is tomorrow night. I also posted the information on clickorlando.com/setting the stage. RJ, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having me. Such a pleasure.
Yes.